All right. How's everyone doing? Thanks for being here. The first house concert of the year. Couple things real quick. I think everyone, for the most part, has been here before, but just real quick, I did move the donation jar down there to make it a little bit easier for you guys to get those. And then also the schedules and the email sign-up sheet is also down there. So just so you know, I did move those, so hopefully it's a little bit easier for you guys to reach those. Other than that, the only other thing I should mention, if you need to use the bathroom, you can use the normal bathroom, but there's also a bathroom in the massage studio, my office, which is the one with the ramp on it past where the food's at. So if you want to, you can use that as well. You just go in, take a right, and then you'll see the bathroom in there. Let's see. It's been 7 years since Daniel's been here, and Ellen. Really nice to see you again. Really nice to have some biscuit Cheetos. The real reason, yeah. Yeah, I didn't forget, you know. But yeah, it's a real pleasure to have you back here and to see you again. And just recovered from COVID, which is, it's a good thing that it all worked out.
Testing negative.
It tested negative, yeah, no, yeah. But I'm happy that it all worked out. One last thing, Daniel does have some CDs, and is there anything else? I know you got a book, right? You got a book, and
the book is a gift.
The book is a gift. Okay, so you guys, if you have not gotten a book yet, he has a small book. That he's going to play a song that goes along with it here in a little bit. There's a pile of them down there. That's a free gift from Daniel. So, one copy per child. Yeah. The last thing I'll say before I stop is our next concert's Sunday. Pierce Pettis is coming out. So if you've been coming for a while, you might remember his daughter Grace. She came out with Rachel Kilgore 2 years ago. And so Pierce is coming out. Like I said, that's Grace's father. And I've known about him for a long time. Haven't met him until, I haven't met him yet, but we'll meet him this Sunday. So anyway, that's that. I think, are you ready, Daniel?
You bet.
All right, let's do it. Daniel Boling.
Thank you, folks. I doubt I'd be singing with you folks today, and we might not be folk music fans anyway, if it wasn't for heroes with something to say, like Leadbelly, Woody, and Pete. Leadbelly, Woody, and Pete. We can't always win, but we never retreat. Sing it beginning to end and repeat. Leadbelly, Woody, and Pete. Now hopefully y'all will join me as that comes around. The only part you have to remember is Leadbelly, Woody, and Pete. The other words don't matter. It's a folk song, even though I wrote it. One of the ways you can tell it's a folk song is the chorus comes around quite often. Shoulder to shoulder, come whatever may. Proud to be marching straight into the fray, in the footprints of giants who passed this away, like Leadbelly, Woody, and Pete. Here we go. Leadbelly, Woody, and Pete. We can't always win, but we never retreat. Sing it beginning to end and repeat. Leadbelly, Woody, and Pete. Now looking at the average age out there, I'm guessing you know who I'm talking about. But for that one person who may not, when I say Leadbelly, I mean Huddy Ledbetter. Big black man with a 12-string guitar. He wrote songs like Irene Goodnight and The Midnight Special. His songwriting got him released early for a murder conviction out of Huntsville prison because the governor let him out because of his songwriting. Sometimes as a songwriter you get to thinking maybe there's not a whole lot of point, but you just never know what your songs might do for you. Now, Woody, of course, I'm talking about Woody Guthrie. Woody liked to say, oh, I've writ thousands of songs, but I ain't ever wrote a tune. Because he just borrowed whatever tune was already popular and wrote new lyrics to it. But everybody knows at least one Woody Guthrie song, This Land Is Your Land. And Pete, I'm talking about Pete Seeger. Pete Seeger was the folk singer's folk singer. His music was known all over the world. And I'll give you one example of that. In Spain, when Francisco Franco was still the dictator, and a lot of people were trying to create a democracy there, they were using Pete Seeger's songs as one of their tools. And so they invited Pete to come over and close out a big rock concert that they were holding in an arena. And Pete said, well, I'll come, but you know I'm a folk singer. And they said, oh yes, we know all about you and your songs, Mr. Seeger. That's what we want. So he went over, and he was backstage about ready to go on when the soldiers came in and handed him a list and said, Mr. Seeger, these are the songs you're not permitted to sing tonight. He said it looked a great deal like the set list that he was planning, but they had no idea who they were dealing with. They underestimated Pete because he took his long neck banjo and his 12-string guitar and he walked out there on the stage and he said, folks, the government tells me I'm not allowed to sing my songs for you tonight, but I understand you know them all. How about I just play and you sing? We stand without fear at the front of the throng, raise voices as one in each glorious song, sharing what we think is right and what's wrong, just like Leadbelly, Woody, and Pete. Here we go. Leadbelly, Woody, and Pete. We can't always win, but we never retreat. Sing it beginning to end and repeat. Leadbelly, Woody, and Pete. I want to mention just a few more of my songwriting heroes. Ann Feeney, Tom Paxton, so many fine folks, Josh White, Libba Cotton, the mighty Phil Oakes, our sisters and brothers who shoulder the yoke, just like Leadbelly, Woody, and Pete. Last chance. Leadbelly, Woody, and Pete. We can't always win, but we never retreat. Sing it beginning to end and repeat. Leadbelly, Woody, and Pete. Leadbelly, Woody, and Pete. Leadbelly, Woody, and Pete. Thank you. Oh, we're going to have some fun tonight. Let me get a different guitar here. And you say to yourselves, he said guitar, but that sure looks like a banjo. It is indeed. It's both. This is a 6-string banjo, which lets a guitar player play banjo a whole lot easier. When I first started out, banjoing. I was doing mostly this one. Now I do a lot on the 5-string as well. But a lot of people think Shania Twain came up with this, but it's actually been around since the 20s. There have been banjotars or 6-string banjos. There used to be banjo mandolins and banjo cellos and banjo basses. There were whole orchestras of banjos. It's a scary thought, isn't it? There will come a point during this concert where I sing more than talk, but we haven't gotten there yet. Because I want to tell you one more story. When I first went off to college, well, let me start further back than that. I was raised in an Air Force family. So I was overseas in Okinawa and Japan and some of those places, Germany, during the 60s. I kind of missed some of the things that were going on over here in the States. I met my first hippie when I went off to college at Lubbock, Texas. His name was John Darlow Boswell. He had been a Navy frogman in Vietnam, but when he came back, he bought a '63 GMC pickup truck and he built a little wooden house on the back. It had a sky blue paint job and he got mud flaps that read "Old Blue Passing Through." And that's what he did for the next 30 years. He played folk songs and his own songs all over the U.S. and half of Canada. But he figured if he was going to be a folk singer, he needed to start out by meeting Pete Seeger. So he drove up to Beacon, New York in Old Blue and pulled up in front of the cabin that Pete and Toshi had built there. Went and knocked on the door and said, "Mr. Seeger, I'm John Boswell and I'm going to be a folk singer." Pete said, "Well, good to meet you, John. I see you got a house on your truck. Why don't you just stick around for a few days and we'll get some work done?" John said he had no idea that was going to happen. He was pretty excited, but he had a dilemma too because he wasn't sure how long it was okay to stay. He didn't need to worry. Pete had been through this before because the third morning he heard on the back of the truck, and there stood Pete with a big cup of coffee in his hand. Said, "John, since you're leaving this morning, I figured you could use a cup of coffee." But he went back lots of times and he got to know Pete and Toshi really well and learned a lot, and I think he passed a fair amount of it on to me, or I hope so anyway. But years later, I ran across John again and he was telling me stories of this little old-fashioned circus that he had run off with. And so I wrote this song to honor my buddy John and all the folks that are still traveling the West with the Culpeper and Merriweather Great Combined Circus. Raising the big top for Saturday night in a small Arizona town, unrolling the canvas and hiking the poles, tying them fast all around. When the rigging's all up, we'll have 6 hours rest, then put on a show for the town. Then we'll put on another, then put it to bed. But first, all the rigging comes down. We'll be making the jump in the morning, so we're striking the canvas tonight. Come tomorrow, we're raising the big top again. We'll be rolling before it's good light. I'm a hand in a traveling circus of 18. We tour the small western towns, giving 2 shows a night. We've done nearly 200 in 3 months since I started out. But next week there's a break in our schedule, 3 days that haven't been booked as of yet. And I sure hope they won't be. I need a vacation, probably the last one I'll get. We've been making the jump every morning, so we're striking the canvas tonight. Come tomorrow, we're raising the big top again. We'll be rolling before it's good light. Well, Jerry plays organ while Jim swallows fire. Johnny is a jack of all trades. Aerialist Maggie soars over the crowds in the spider web rigging we've made. And the throng gets such thrills as the pageant unfolds, color and light everywhere. But by 5 in the morning, if someone should look, he'd find nothing but tire prints here. For we're making the jump in the morning, so we're striking the canvas tonight. Come tomorrow, we're raising the big top again. We'll be rolling before it's good light. On a good night, I'll make $40. On a slow night, I'll make 25. It's not much of a living, I know, but it serves to keep me in this old truck alive till I find something better to do with my life, or someplace else I've never seen. And the circus will go on like before I joined, as though nothing occurred in between. They'll keep making the jump every morning, so we're striking the canvas tonight. Come tomorrow, they're raising the big top again. They'll be rolling before it's good light. Thank you. This is a great setting. I see the community drifting by and pulling in. It's lovely. So when a lot of folks think about a banjo, they think about a 5-string. This is Stewart. Stewart was built in 1891. So he's definitely the oldest one here. I figure no matter how many more years I play music, I'll never get to play as much music as Stewart already has, you know. My daddy grew up deep in Appalachia, in the hollers where the mountain laurel blooms. Crystal water springs, speckled wood thrush sings. Dogwood lends the air her sweet perfume. Dogwood lends the air her sweet perfume. Well, the mountains once stood tall in Appalachia, streams running cool down their sides. A boy could hunt and fish as free as he could wish, and the water wouldn't poison his inside. The water wouldn't poison his inside. But the coal barons came to Appalachia, caring only for the money they could make. For coal deep underground, now they tear the mountains down. Give so little in return for what they take, so little in return for what they take. And jobs ain't ever coming back to Appalachia. People tell you coal is clean, well, that's a lie. There's no living for a man. Get the hell out if you can. This is just a place you wait around to die. Just a place you wait around to die. 'Cause you can't drink the water now in Appalachia, and you can't eat the twisted fish that still survive. Lord, I wish that I could see how Kentucky used to be when my daddy and his mountains were alive. My daddy and his mountains were alive. Let's sing something a little more cheerful. It's all true, though. They don't dig down under the ground anymore. They just blow the top off the mountain and shove it into the river, and it's a mess. I know you gotta get to it, but it just seems like there ought to be a better way. Well, speaking of my daddy, he was raised up in Kentucky, but he went in the Air Force and he moved all over the world, and he settled down in Aztec, New Mexico. That's a little town up in the northwest corner of New Mexico, almost to Colorado. And the reason he moved there is because they have the San Juan River, and it's a great trout stream. And he liked to put on his chest waders, you know, those rubber boots that come up to here, and get out in that cold water and chase the wily trout. But Daddy had Parkinson's, and the time came when he couldn't live on his own anymore, so we got the whole family together to help him move out to Indiana, where he lived his last 5 years with my sister there. But what it meant was taking apart the family house and figuring out what to do with all that stuff. I see some of you nodding. You've been there, haven't you? Well, I should tell you that when I'm not singing solo, I sing with a trio that goes back to 1960 called the Limelighters. If you remember that trio from back in those days, Glenn Yarborough and Alex Hasselev and Lou Gottlieb back in the day. Well, these days it's me and Steve Brooks and Andy Corwin. And we're all songwriters too, so we use the historic Limelighters repertoire, but we also Limelighterize some of our own songs, and this is one that they've done me the honor of presenting, called Dad's Garage. And I bet you'll recognize a whole bunch of this. Sleeves rolled up, work gloves on, a dust mask on my face. It's time to sort and pack and load and ship my papa's place. Chunks of chain, hunks of board, a couple dozen scriptures of the Lord, things we can't, things we must, under 40 years of dust. Chest waders with the feet cut off, hanging on the wall of my dad's garage. I don't know what he kept them for, but I'm pretty sure he never wore those chest waders with the feet cut off, unless maybe he lost his mind. But when somebody goes through things of mine, no telling just what they'll find. That throne-shaped toilet paper holder really reeks of class. A Victorian-era serving tray with dead moths under glass. What to keep, what to throw, who the heck is ever gonna know? What we pitch, what we save, take that secret to my grave. But Grandpa wired with these pliers, I'll keep them for sure. And this pistol, Mama's daddy carried in the war. But what to do with all this stuff? Every house already has enough. Give a bunch of things away and pity our own kids someday. There's chest waders with the feet cut off, hanging on the wall of my dad's garage. I don't know what he kept them for, but I'm pretty sure he never wore those chest waders with the feet cut off, unless maybe he lost his mind. But when somebody goes through things of mine, no telling just what they'll find. 'Cause I've got pay stubs clear back to the 60s, and blue jeans that no longer fit me, and bags of rusty used guitar strings, projects left undone. Fallout from a jack of all trades, and junk that hasn't budged in decades. In my mind the choir sings, you are your father's son. Yeah, songwriters and storytellers, you know, we never let the truth stand in the way of a good story, but I didn't have to make up a single thing for that song. Now, we handed out a little booklet to everybody. That's the lyrics to this song I'm about to do. It's called Mama's Words. And my sister Elizabeth did those lovely drawings of our family. Any male character in that booklet wearing blue pants is me, regardless of age. But I mention Elizabeth partly because that song I just did, Dad's Garage, during the pandemic, the Limelighters couldn't get together. Two of them lived in Austin, and I live in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and we couldn't rehearse over the internet because there's latency, and it's like singing in a wash machine. But what we did is we each got a green screen in our homes so we could video ourselves in front of the green screen, and then Andy, our leader, who is also a video editor, could remove the background and put us wherever he wanted us. And so the first guy would do his part of the song and video it and send it to the next guy who would use that recording as his template and do his part of the song to it and send it to the next guy, and Andy'd put us all together. My sister drew Dad's Garage with all the contents, and Andy dropped us in the middle of it singing that song. So if you go to limelighters.com, you can see our video of that. But right now, we'll do a song I haven't done in a while, and since you've all got the lyrics in your hand, if I suddenly get that deer in the headlights look, you can remind me what I'm supposed to be saying, right? Wash your face and comb your hair, tie your shoes and put on clean underwear, button up your coat and wear a hat. You'll catch your death a cold if you go out like that. Mind your manners, be polite, wait your turn, don't pick fights. Remember, please, and thank you too. Behave yourself, we're proud of you. I still hear my mama's words every day when I face obstacles in life. It's the little things she'd say that help me make it through, and throughout my life I pray. I still hear my mama's words every day. Well, hurry up or we'll be late. Take smaller bites, but clean your plate. Keep your mouth closed when you chew. You know your dad and I will always love you. Now get to bed, you need your sleep. Be sure to brush all the teeth you want to keep. It's getting late, turn out that light. I'll be right there to tuck you in and say goodnight. I still hear my mama's words every day when I face obstacles in life. It's the little things she'd say that help me make it through, and throughout my life I pray. I still hear my mama's words every day. Excuse me. Allergies. She's departed from us now, but I'll see her once again in the sweet by and by. When I'm troubled or confused, not sure which way I should choose, Mama's voice reminds me, do your best and try. I still hear my mama's words every day when I face obstacles in life. It's the little things she'd say that help me make it through, and throughout my life I pray. I I still hear my mama's words every day. I still hear my mama's words every day. Thanks for helping me sing that. Mostly I sing what I write, but every once in a while I like to borrow a song. I'm going to borrow this one from a dear songwriter friend of mine, Tim Henderson. He's been gone about 8 years now. He was raised up in West Virginia, but he says he got to Texas just as fast as he could. And Tim was a great ballad writer. He could write a ballad that would tear your heart out. But this is the other side of the Tim Henderson coin. This is Tim's ode to the much maligned and misunderstood art of sexing chickens. It's got a sing-along part. My cousin Hester is a baby chick sexer. Nobody knows how she knows what she knows. Show her 10,000 chicks and there's not one'll perplex her. But nobody knows how she knows what she knows. She can sex 'em by day, she can sex 'em by night. Little hens on the left, little cocks on the right. Just wait 90 days, you'll find out she was right. And nobody knows, nobody knows, nobody knows, nobody knows. Nobody knows how she knows what she knows. Nobody knows how she knows, but she knows. And her mother, Rose Pfister, my own mother's sister, says nobody knows how she knows what she knows. Telling each little chick miss from each little mister. And nobody knows how she knows what she knows. Folks don't want cocks that crow, they want hens that lay eggs. And you can't tell a whole lot just by spreading their legs. And Hester won't tell, though you plead and you beg. So nobody knows. Nobody knows. Nobody knows how she knows what she knows. Nobody knows how she knows, but she knows. And her father, old Cotter, he says of his daughter, nobody knows how she knows what she knows. She knows thousands of things there's no way she should oughter. And nobody knows how she knows what she knows. She's the best chicken sexer for hundreds of miles. But I fear there's more witchcraft than knowledge in her guiles. And Hester just smiles that inscrutable smile and won't say how she knows. Nobody knows. So nobody knows. Nobody knows how she knows what she knows. Nobody knows how she knows, but you got that right. The great Tim Henderson. Things are getting entirely too cheerful here. So. Some days I forget how bright other days have been. I get lost inside the darkness in between. Some things I regret and I'll never do again. Can't remember the lyrics some nights. I wonder how that goes. Does Ellen have any idea? Let's just take it from the top. Maybe I'll be struck by inspiration, or maybe I'll just write a new line for you. Some days I forget how bright other days have been. I get lost inside the darkness in between. Some things I regret and I'll never do again. Can't erase mistakes you've made or what you've seen. Everywhere I go, sleeping dogs that won't stay lying, moments of the past that won't stay gone. Everyone I know is moving out of town or dying, but that don't mean I don't need to try to carry on. I've been saving up things to blame myself about. Late at night they clamor in my mind. Add more to the list, but never strike 'em out. I wish I could learn to leave the past behind. Promise myself and pray that I'm not lying. When did it get so hard to tell? Keep falling short, even though I know I'm trying. Laying good intentions down to pave this road to hell. And so it comes to this, I always knew it would. No one can tell you what your life should mean. Can't help but wish I had done the best I could. But morning's one more chance. For starting clean. Everywhere I go, sleeping dogs that won't stay lying. Moments of the past that won't stay gone. Everyone I know is moving out of town or dying, but that don't mean I don't need to try to carry on. That don't mean I don't need to try to carry on. Thanks, folks. Some of you may have seen a series that I put up on Facebook called Uncle Dan's Critter Cam. There's a Forest Service wilderness area called the Sandia Mountains that lies adjacent to the city of Albuquerque, where Ellen and I live. And during the pandemic, I started taking these little wildlife trail cameras up there and hiding them here and there to watch what the critters were up to. And when I find something really cool, I put it up on my website, which is danielboling.com, under the page titled Uncle Dan's Critter Cam. So if you want to visit, come on by. But I've also launched a small campaign to remove some of the old barbed wire that's scattered all over those woods up there from back when there used to be livestock grazing up there. And sometimes there's a confluence of events. I'll just tell you in this song here. And I should mention, in that first song that we started with, I listed a whole bunch of songwriting heroes, all of whom are dead except one, and that is Tom Paxton. Tom Paxton turned 85 on Halloween, and since last summer, Tom and I have been getting together on Zoom once a week if we were both available and writing songs together. We have a whole album coming out in August that's entirely songs he and I have written together. You may remember Tom from songs like The Last Thing on My Mind and Ramblin' Boy and Bottle of Wine, and he's a great songwriter. It's a treat to get to write with him. But I told him this story one day when we were ready for a songwriting session. He said, "Let's write that one. That sounds like a good one." Yeah, I just got to remember how it goes. Oh, yeah, I got it. I was hiking the Sandias on a bright October day, hauling out some old barbed wire overdue to throw away. As I hiked, I started humming an old Kingston Trio song. I was fat and dumb and happy, thinking nothing could go wrong. I had my can of bear spray, any prudent hiker would. And you know, I've often wondered if this stuff is any good. I don't know how it happened, if I tripped or fell or what, but I went ass over teacup and came down on my butt. My arm wound up in a crevice and I heard a hissing sound. Felt an odd vibration as I scrambled from the ground. I figured I was snake bit, then I did a double take. It was a punctured can of bear spray, not an angry rattlesnake. You know they call this darn stuff bear spray 'cause bears can barely stand it. Hikers toted it with them, that's why they went and canned it. It's filled with chili peppers that you might like in your chow, but in your eyes and lungs, well, they're a bit less fun somehow. There was bear spray on my flannel shirt and bear spray on my pants. On your naked skin, you know this stuff'll make you dance. I commenced disrobing quickly, right there on the trail, and staggered down the hill like some demented Chippendale. I drove my truck home praying that the cops were not around, 'cause I'd play hob explaining this strange stripper that they'd found. A fool half blind from bear spray in a beat-up antique truck. And the other cops would tease him, "Joe, don't you have all the luck?" So remember, if you're hiking under dale and over hill, Murphy's Law's alive and well, boys. If it can go wrong, it will. You can never be too careful. Take this tip from Ranger Dan. Keep your backside off the barbed wire and your bear spray in the can. I think that's a world premiere right there. So I was saving this particular song to write with Tom Paxton, but it got away from me, and I wrote it on my own on a hike up in the woods, and about a week later when Tom and I got together, I said, "Tom, I'm sorry, I was saving this great idea, and I wrote the song without you." He said, "Let me hear it." So I sang it for him, and he said, "I wouldn't change a word." So I take that as high praise. A little boy's letter, handwritten by me. Sick and tired of being the youngest of three. and love at the end was all you could see. Dear Mama, I hate you, love Dan. 'Cause you knew as I grew some I'd probably find. The greatest part of me was gentle and kind. Thank heaven for mothers whose love's truly blind. Dear Mama, I hate you, love Dan. Dear Mama, I hate you, love Dan. You sure love the boy, I know you'd love the man. Thank you for making me all that I am. Dear Mama, I hate you, love Dan. I wish I could recall what you said when you said it. I know I was sorry the moment you read it. Like so many things in my life, I regret it. Dear Mama, I hate you, love Dan. And I could sure use a few of your wise words to quote. How you tenderly handled my heartbreaking note. 'Cause I'm holding a letter our youngest just wrote. Dear Daddy, I hate you, love Sam. Dear Daddy, I hate you, love Sam. How to help a sweet boy grow into a fine man. You know we're all doing the best that we can. Dear Mama, I hate you, love Dan. Dear Daddy, I hate you, love Sam. Dear Mama, I love you, love Dan. Let's do one I was not planning on, but I think you'll enjoy it. Nobody's real sure how these lyrics and this music got together, but we think that Pete Seeger is the source of the words. No, that's not the song I'm going to do. Haha. We know exactly how these lyrics and this music got together. This was written by Dwight Latham and Mo Jaffe back in the 40s. It's a tangled up family story that I'm sure most of you have heard, but it's time you heard it again. Many, many years ago when I was 23, I was married to a widow who was pretty as can be. Well, this widow had a grown-up daughter who had hair of red. My father fell in love with her, and soon they two were wed. Well, this made my dad my son-in-law. It changed my very life. My daughter was my mother, 'cause she was my father's wife. To complicate the matter, even though it gave me joy, I soon became the father of a bouncing baby boy. And this little fellow then became a brother-in-law to Dad, and so became my uncle, though it made me very sad. For if he was my uncle, then that also made him brother to the widow's grown-up daughter, who was also my stepmother. Oh, I'm my own grandpa. I'm my own grandpa. It sounds funny, I know, but it really is so. I'm my own grandpa. Try that with me, would you? I'm my own grandpa. Same line again. I'm my own grandpa. It sounds funny, I know, but it really is so. I'm my own grandpa. Father's wife soon had a son who kept them on the run, and he became my grandchild, for he was my daughter's son. My wife is now my mother's mother, and it makes me blue, because although she is my wife, she's my grandmother too. Oh, I'm my own grandpa. I'm my own grandpa. It sounds funny, I know, but it really is so. I'm my own grandpa. So if my wife is my grandmother, I am her grandchild. Every time I think of that, it nearly drives me wild. For now I have become the strangest case you ever saw. As husband to my grandmother, I am my own grandpa. Oh, I'm my own grandpa. Last chance. I'm my own grandpa. It sounds funny, I know, but it really is so. I'm my own grand. I'm my own grand. I'm my own grandpa. All right, here's another brand new one that Tom and I wrote. This is its world premiere also. Please let me make it through another brand new song without forgetting where I am. What did you do in the missing years? How did you pass the time? I tried TV, nothing on. Alex Trebek was pretty much gone. I sat around drinking wine. I had this bookcase in my house filled with classic tomes. If ever I find the time, I said, I could wind up pretty well read in novels, plays, and poems. Stood in line and got my shots, avoided busy public spots, stayed home every chance I got, and wore my mask to bed. Tarot cards and casting lots, shady deals and crooked plots. Old acquaintances forgot, but not a lot got read. We're not through with the missing years, and we might never be. Everybody works from home, spends way too much time alone, or maybe that's just me. There's no such thing as the good old days, there never really was. Right and left refused to mix, practiced dirty politics just like the other guy does. Stood in line and got my shots, avoided busy public spots, stayed home every chance I got, wore my mask to bed. Tarot cards and casting lots, shady deals and crooked plots. Old acquaintances forgot and not a word was said. We won't forget the missing years, the heroes and the volunteers. We overcame our gravest fears, but we'll remember when we all mourned those missing lives. Who's gone now and who survives? We're grateful each new day arrives. The sun comes up again. We're grateful each new day arrives. The sun comes up again. Well, while I'm on a roll, I'll just do the world premiere of another song Tom and I wrote. There it is. When they sent us here to fight, I believed that it was right. Decades in our longest war, I'm not so certain anymore. Giving it back to the Taliban, leaving Afghanistan. I think we intended well, but any more, man, who can tell what they told us and what was real? I just know the way I feel, giving it back to the Taliban, leaving Afghanistan. What we wanted all these years, leaving Afghanistan. Now that day is finally here, leaving Afghanistan. Thousands dead, millions more, don't have a country anymore. Who'll be here when the last plane clears, leaving Afghanistan? I believe we have to leave. The war is hopeless, I agree, but something else is just as true. Leaving's the worst thing we can do. Giving it back to the Taliban, leaving Afghanistan. Men we've worked with hand in glove, families we've grown to love, and working dogs, brave and faithful. It may be right, but it feels disgraceful, giving it back to the Taliban, leaving Afghanistan. What we wanted all these years, leaving Afghanistan. Now that day is finally here, leaving Afghanistan. Thousands dead, millions more, don't have a country anymore. Who'll be here when the last plane clears, leaving Afghanistan? Thank you.
Oh, bless your heart.
The lovely Ellen Boling.
Music enabler. And modest.
All right, I'm going to borrow another song. This one's from my producer buddy, John O'Manson. He runs the Kitchen Sink, which is a wonderful studio in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And he said I could sing this song anywhere, anytime I wanted. I hope he meant it. So what I want you to do is when we get to the chorus of this song, no, heck, just all the time, anytime you feel like it, I'll sing a line and you sing it back to me. Call and response. You've done that in church all your life, right? Oh, but we got to get it in tune. Give me a second. The temperature keeps changing and so do the strings. You know, they say guitar tuning is just like aircraft maintenance. It's always worthwhile. Yes, aren't they though? I'll sing it, you sing it right back. Don't leave any time in between. Just jump right in. Follow Ellen, she knows how it goes. Late last night for the break of day. Late last night for the break of day. The neighbor's cat got carried away. Neighbor's cat got carried away. A great horned owl came swooping down and picked her off. She never made a sound. Well, it may sound tragic, but it makes me smile to see a bird get a cat every once in a while. Every once in a while. Tables turn, you get across that bridge before it burns. I wish I may, I wish I might just have a second chance to set it right. There's a factory at the edge of town. The workers stood up and they shut it down. For a safer line and decent pay, they went on strike and walked away. Till the man came down with papers in his hand, granted every one of their demands, granted each and every one of their demands. Every once in a while, the tables turn, you get across that bridge before it burns, I wish I may, I wish I might have a second chance to set it right. There's a planet spinning through outer space with wounds and scars all over her face, made by men who never understand. We do not own this sacred land. But one of these days when she's had enough, the water's gonna rise and swallow them up. Water's gonna rise and swallow us up. Here we go, every once in a while. The tables turn, you get across that bridge before it burns. I wish I may, I wish I might have a second chance to set it right. From John O. Manson. Well, it's just about time to wrap it up. I think we're real close here. It always comes around too quickly for me. I hope it has for you as well. Let's get this back in tune right now. Just in case I need it. Okay. Since you're all warmed up and singing, I want you to sing one more with me. You also don't know this song, but you'll know it here in a minute. It's called Get a Muffler on Your Truck. No way. Someday, we will understand. Someday, we will understand just like that. Someday, we will understand. Someday, we will understand. When we give as much respect to teachers as to movie stars, when we spend as much on homeless shelters as on prison bars, when we see our fellow man in need and give him some of ours. Someday, someday we will understand. Someday, someday we will understand. When every child has food enough and somewhere safe to sleep, and a kind and loving family teaching values he can keep. When in a land of plenty, no one's living on the street. Someday, someday, we will understand. Someday, someday, we will understand. When humanity's diversity is a reason to rejoice, when the hopeless and forgotten finally have an equal voice, when basic human dignity is a birthright, not a choice. Someday, someday, we will understand. 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 Someday. It's been fun singing here with you tonight. Let's do one more that I hope you will remember fondly and help me with. I'm used to singing this with the Limelighters, so I'm going to miss their voices, but I'm counting on y'all to fill in, all right? Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. As I was walking that ribbon of highway, I saw above me that endless skyway. I saw below me that golden valley. I said, this land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. Well, I roamed and I rambled, and I followed my footsteps to the sparkling sands of her diamond deserts, and all around me a voice was sounding, said this land was made for you and me. Here we go. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. Well, the sun came shining as I was strolling, and the wheat fields waving, and the dust clouds rolling. As the fog was lifting, a voice was chanting, said this land was made for you and me. Last chance. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. Okay, big Limelighters, finish, everybody. This land was made for you and me. All right. Thank thank you much, folks. Lovely to be here. Thank you, John and Steph, for hosting this, and everybody for turning out and for singing with your hearts.